I'm Julie Mason. Joining me now, Congressman Jeff Fortenberry is a Republican representing the 1st Congressional District of Nebraska. He's ranking member of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Agriculture and a member of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on State and Foreign Operations. He tweets at Jeff Fortenberry. Congressman, welcome.
Hi, Julie. Thanks for talking to me today. I really appreciate it, particularly given the state of emergency that the country is in.
Indeed. Tell us about this vote today. You were for it.
Yes, this is an unprecedented crisis that really did require an unprecedented response. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures, and people are suffering. America is uncertain. I thought the Congress needed to act and act clearly. It's almost unimaginable that today we're passing a $2 trillion plus bill, whereas a week and a half ago, we couldn't have imagined we'd be in this place. But the nature of the disease, its spread, its impact on the economy, the need to help individuals and families, protect our healthcare system, and protect small businesses. These are transcendent needs that overcame any sort of partisan quibbling, and I'm glad that the Congress got this done.
What are you hearing from constituents in your Nebraska district?
Many people have very specific questions about their own individual circumstances. To be frank, I've been on the phone a lot, person by person. My staff has as well. We're almost a triage here of just trying to direct people where to go, give them basic information, answers to frequently asked questions as to what this may mean for their small business. I've been trying to advise small business people to get in line, go to the bank now. The bank is going to administer this program backed up by the Small Business Administration. And this is very important because we're trying to do two things at once. Obviously, move significant resources into our healthcare sector so they can care for the sick, find a cure, and while at the same time holding these social distancing policies and closures so that we buy time so that our healthcare system isn't overrun by the disease, and at the same time set ourselves up for a return to economic well-being. So bridges to help small business at this time, direct assistance checks to families and individuals, as well as other types of support for major institutions that are fighting back. This was so compelling that I'm frankly proud of the Congress of coming together and getting this done quickly. But most individuals are asking questions about their specific circumstances, and we're just trying to help.
You know, every state is experiencing coronavirus so differently, and I'm wondering, what are some of the unique challenges in Nebraska?
Well, in a certain way, we're fortunate. This is the frontier, and we're somewhat isolated. We don't have flights going directly to China and such. Even our urban areas, particularly Lincoln and Omaha, aren't that dense in terms of urban density. However, we also got in front of this early and began to see the seriousness of this. In addition to that, we have very significant medical capacity. President Trump last night noted the medical capacity of Nebraska, particularly our med school, which has been a leader. We actually took in the first patients off the cruise ship here, parked them, if you will, in isolation at a National Guard camp, and those who got sick moved to the University of Nebraska system. That obviously has been noted by our president. We have special biocontainment facilities here that we used during the Ebola crisis. So the combination of healthcare capacity, our state being less dense than others, plus our quick action, and by the way, there is absolute transparency and ongoing cooperation between state and local and federal officials. Just got off the phone with my governor. But there's a bigger factor here as well. We have a very compliant citizenry who are trying to do what they can to take care of their families, to pay attention to the dictates that are sent out, as painful and difficult as it is. I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, I texted my barber, Mary. She's cut my hair for 20 years. I said, Mary, you cutting hair? She says, nope. Shut down. We have to play by the rules. Not that was asking for an exception. I just didn't know if she was still open or not.
Congressman, do not cut your own hair. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
That's I asked one of my daughters to. By the way, I have 5 daughters and 4 are at the house right now. She said, "Nope, not going to do it, Dad."
Oh man, you're also very involved in ag policy, and there was a big ag component in this bill that was passed today. What are the needs of the ag sector right now?
Yeah, great. Thanks for mentioning that. I think when most people think of Nebraska, again, they think of us as the Great Plains and a producer of ag products. We help feed not only America, we help feed the world, and that's got a lot of other things going for us as well, but obviously that impression is based in reality. Our farmers and ranchers do a tremendous amount of good quietly, and public policy that creates the stabilization parts of what is needed to keep agriculture strong is a big part of government in America, but it's not understood well by the rest of the country. This bill includes close to $10 billion of discretionary funding to the Secretary of Agriculture to basically help where we have systemic problems. The biggest need that I've heard from is cattle producers. Prices were off prior to this. There's some concern about market manipulation. The fullness of the variables as to what is happening in their market, we're trying to investigate now. But in addition to that, I'll just tell you, agriculture is a big family. I got an email from my friend Shelley Pingree in Maine, who's a small sustainable farmer, and she asked for help to go directly to people who are moving crops into farmers markets and have specialty niches, and I agreed. So agriculture is a big family, and again, it's not well understood. But the good news is, and I talked to the secretary last week because in anticipation of questions like yours, I said, is our food supply sound? And he said unequivocally, there's been no disruptions in production, in distribution, in logistics, or even at the retail end. Now, you see this at your own grocery store. There's some shortage of hand sanitizer or papers, but overall, the food supply is sound, and that's good news. But he's been given significant monies as well to help at his discretion when there is a need.
My guest is Congressman Jeff Fortenberry, representing the 1st Congressional District in Nebraska. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Fortenberry. Congressman, are you concerned about the emerging partisan divide on how citizens are responding to coronavirus?
Well, Julie, I think honestly right now, I think we've taken a bit of a break from partisan divides. Not fully, but nonetheless, crisis tends to focus the mind. And look, I'm a Republican. I'm what I call traditional conservative Republican, and there's a lot of people in my own district that disagree with me and tell me clearly that's an attribute of Nebraska's. But at the same time, people are thanking me. Thank you for the information. Thank you for working so hard. Please do this. Please do that. Others who are generally not engaged in the political system and may hold perspectives like mine are coming out and saying things. Yes, this is important. Let's get this done. So there's a bit of a more of a unifying element here. Now, this is a crisis. It's a pandemic. It's not what we faced before. Maybe it's premature to do this on national radio, but I keep thinking, okay, after coronavirus, what does this do for us as a country? Not just in terms of public policy and rethinking certain economic dynamics, the first of which is our over-dependence, our codependence on a sick system of being wedded to Chinese production, particularly in terms of drugs and medical supplies, but a whole variety of other things. We need to make this stuff in America, and you can't tell me that we can't. And this multinational dynamic, which has basically shifted our manufacturing overseas, and it makes us vulnerable, clearly in a case like this, to places that do not have the same types of control. The Chinese government's capitalistic, communistic hybrid system was more interested in controlling information than controlling the spread of the virus, and that's really sad. But what this is going to do is create, I think, a retrenchment for us and a rethinking as to how to restore the strength of our own economic systems for our own people's well-being, which then, again, gives us the ability to be in solidarity with people all over the world as they strengthen their own systems, and then we can engage in authentic dialogue, friendship, and authentic free trade, not this sort of fake stuff which creates dependency on other people who have lax labor standards and lax environmental standards and whose governments are not based in the fundamental principle of human dignity. So in addition to that, but sociologically here, is this going to bring us closer together? I mentioned my own family is home. I honestly just see a certain gift in the interaction between my daughters and, us putting phones aside and, yes, of course, doing telework and teleeducation, but taking on projects. And frankly, I'm hearing that from a lot of people. It's a time for retrenchment and restoration of basic fundamental ideals and values.
Congressman Jeff Fortenberry from Nebraska, thank you so much for joining me. Great to talk to you.
Pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Take care.